Okay, hold on. Wait. Never mind. All right. So we need to enter the cage, and we're going to take another look at Conair. Now, I decided to redo Conair and Face Off, and I'm glad I did because now I can, within this series, take a look at the holy trinity of Nicolas Cage flicks. That being Conair, Face Off, and The Rock, which I do have access to. We'll start off with 1997's Con Air, directed by Simon West and starring Nicolas Cage, John Cusack, John Malkovich, Steve Buscemi, Ving Rhames, Colm Meaney, Michael T. Williamson, Rachel Ticotin, Dave Chappelle. Did I say Steve Buscemi? Dave Chappelle, Danny Trejo, MC Gainey, Monica Potter. It's a who's who's of stars of that era. The story revolves around Cameron Poe, a former Army Ranger, who, during self-defense protecting his wife and unborn child, he murders someone, and because he's an Army Ranger, they declare him a lethal weapon. So they give him 7 to 10 years in prison. He gets 7 years, and after 7 years, he's finally going to be released. However, this is the time that Cyrus the Virus, played by John Malkovich, and a bunch of other cons decide to take over the airplane, dubbing it Con Air, and a U.S. Marshal Larkin, played by John Cusack, has to track them down and save them. And Cameron Poe has to not save them, but save the not the prisoners, but the innocents. And Cameron Poe has to also infiltrate these cons and find a way to get back to his wife and daughter. Alright, first and foremost, this movie starts off with him as an Army Ranger, and he gets released, and he comes home to his wife. And now, none of the stuff that I talk negative about are actually going to be negatives. This is an awesome movie for me. It is practically perfect in every way, like Mary Poppins. And you already know what my score is going to be. But there are a few nitpicks, such as he comes home from being gone, and his wife is pregnant. She doesn't look pregnant, and we find out later that she gave birth 3 months after he went to prison. How? She's not even showing. You expect me to believe that she is 6 months pregnant when they meet up at the beginning of this movie. Are you telling me they couldn't afford to give her a baby belly? She does not look pregnant whatsoever. So he gets in, but yeah, it never made any sense to me. Like, wait, she's pregnant? And I'm like, well, how far along was she? But he was gone. It never made sense to me. And then, 3 months after he was put in prison, she gave birth. She would be showing way more than she did. So he gets into a fight with a discount Baldwin brother, and he murders the guy in self-defense. The lawyer tells him to plead guilty, and he'll get a short sentence. Well, they declare him a lethal weapon because he's an Army Ranger, and they send him up for 7 to 10 years. He gets the 7-year sentence, and he's finally leaving, and he is also getting transferred with him as his cellmate Baby-O, played by Michael T. Williamson, who is in Deep Final Destination and Forrest Gump. He's pretty good in this. His one little quirk is that he's diabetic, so he's got to get his insulin. And he's put in, and we're introduced to Deputy Marshal Larkin and Colm Meaney's character as Kicker. That's what it says on his license plate. And this is they're going to have the witty repartee, my planet's bigger than your planet. What are you doing? You don't know nonsense. DEA agent, U.S. Marshal with a level-headed buttheads kind of thing. And that's what it is. And to be honest, though, it's the kind of thing that I would kind of be against. They're not listening, and that, they would have caught him faster. But in my opinion, even if they did see eye to eye, I don't think there's much that could have actually held him back here. Like, other than Larkin telling the prison guards or whatever not to mess around in Cyrus's cell, and they do, and there's a bomb in there, which, how did he get the chemicals to make that bomb? I don't know. He's in a prison. And then, they got, pins in their bodies, whatever. Dave Chappelle lights a guy on fire. He survives somehow. And the one thing I always criticize, especially this time watching, I noticed that Nicolas Cage is a free man. Now, I understand he has to be shackled up with the rest of the prisoners because that's protocol. But one of the guards, takes his the picture of his daughter. I'm like, why? No personal items. He's a free man. He shouldn't be being treated like a prisoner anymore. He's a free man. He's free to go. Don't just tell this guy, hey, he's a free man, just leave him alone. But no, he's still treated like a prisoner, which I understand to a point. So Cyrus launches this takeover. They took over the plane. They have this DEA agent in there. He gets killed, and it's Az Kicker's fault. I keep calling him that. It's Az Kicker's fault because Larkin tells him, no, don't give him a gun. That's like suicide. But he puts the gun in the guy's boot anyway. And of course, that gets him killed. They have to exchange in Carson City. And that's where we get Swamp Daddy, played by MC Gainey, Steve Buscemi's Garland Green, Sally Don't Dance, and some other Hispanic guy, I don't remember who. They have Danny Trejo's character, Johnny 23, because he's raped 23 women. He's got a rose for each one on his arm. And Steve Buscemi's character, Garland Green, is a child murderer. He has a scene with a little girl. And I didn't catch this. Okay, so today is, when I'm recording this, 11:24 p.m. on August 31st, 2021. On this day, I see clearly. No, on this day, Bray Wyatt was released from the WWE. And I'm sitting here watching this, and Steve Buscemi and a little girl are singing, he's got the whole world in his hands. I went, oh, that's ironic. Didn't even think about that when I put it in to do this. It was just like, oh, yeah, it's ironic. You don't know, there was a whole gimmick about Bray Wyatt about singing that song, which apparently is a church song, and I didn't even realize it was. I just grew up with it. I don't go to church. I don't believe. I do believe. I just, don't believe you have to go some way to worship him. He's watching, so I'm not going to put God in my reviews, okay? I'm not that kind of person, but let's move on. So, eventually, one of the prisoners starts to get a little iffy because Poe has to come up with a story so he can stay on the plane. He says he's got 15 years left and he wants to serve, just get him done and served. So he's not going to leave the plane. Because he was going to leave the plane and then contact someone. But then they decided, we're going to gag them and bag them and put their bag over their head. So he's like, no, I don't want to go. And instead he puts a tape thing in one of the guards' pockets, jacket, shirt pocket thing to give him the tell. And I do like later that Dave Chappelle misses the plane from Carson City, and he's stuck in the landing gear and has to get dropped out. Poe writes something on him because he conveniently has a marker in his pocket. Dave Chappelle does. And And he writes, Agent Larkin, whatever, and that gets their attention. But yeah, they get to Carson City. They have the whole exchange, but they're, because Poe did the thing, they're told, but then they fly away. And then they get to another airfield, and that's when we have the showdown, and you get the line, there's only two men that I trust. One of them's me, the other ain't you. And then, they have a conversation. He goes, Poe, what are you going to do? And it's where he gets another other line. I'm going to save the fucking day. I love that line. But it's before this that the one prisoner, I forget his name, Billy Bedlam, he finds out that Poe is not who he says he is. And we get another line in here, because it's the stuffed bunny for his daughter. Put the bunny back in the box. Put the bunny back in the box. There's a fight. He kills Billy Bedlam and he says, why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box? And shortly after this, they discover that Billy Bedlam is dead and that Poe is not who he said he is. But Baby-O is the one that comes forward, so they shoot him. And then wrong movie. Baby-O asks, what are you going to do? And we get another cage line with, I'm going to show you God does exist. Also, Malkovich has a few lines too, like, welcome to Conair. And the most Malkovich line you could think of, my proclivities are well-known and often lamented facts of penal lore. That's such a Malkovich line, I don't even know what to do with it. But, yes. So eventually there's a fight and everything. And they have to land on the Strip in Las Vegas. And this is our big climax, right? They land on the Strip, the plane lands. Some people, most of the prisoners escape, except for Swamp Daddy, Diamond Dog, and Cyrus. And, if you're watching this, it gets this far. This movie is 115 minutes long. And you think by this point, okay, that's like, is this it? Because you think it's the end. Because, I should mention also that there's constant butting heads between Larkin and the DEA agent guy, because the DEA agent guy lost his friend, his partner, so he is unhinged and he's not listening to anything that Larkin is saying. They put the transponder on another plane. He tries to tell them that they're falling in the wrong plane. He's like, nah, not listening to him because he thinks he's right. And then it ends up being, what do you say, Mom, Pa, Kettle. That's what he says. And he has to listen to him, and he has to talk him down. Don't shoot the plane. Although it does lead to them crashing on the Strip, but who knows. We do get the climax in which Larkin and Poe chase after Cyrus, Swamp Daddy, and the other guy, Diamond Dog. They're in a fire truck. Larkin and Poe are on cop cycles, police motorcycles, chasing them, and you get this chase, and there's this fight, and eventually it leads them to an area where Cyrus lands on a conveyor belt, and he falls to where his legs land on this thing where it got coming up and down. He falls, and you see his legs land there, but when it cuts back to Cyrus, his head is there, and he gets mooshed. Diamond Dog and Swamp Daddy, they're killed off during the chase, but it's just weird. He falls with his legs that way, and when it cuts back, his head's there. Did he adjust himself? It just doesn't make any sense. So he dies, and then we get, a revisit of the line from earlier. Just, Larkin, just so you know, there's now 3 men I trust. Am I one of them? And they shake hands. And, so, he goes to his wife and daughter. You get the song. You know, how do I live without you? I want to know. You know, need this reunion. At first, the daughter's a little hesitant because she's never met her father. They hug and they embrace and everything, and it cuts. Before I get to this last part, I mentioned earlier that Garland Green, the child killer, was singing "He's got the whole world in his hands" with the little girl. Now, in the version that's on the DVD, when they take off and they're playing from Carson City, the little girl is waving at them. However, for years, I was only able to watch the television version that aired on USA Network back in the late 90s, early 2000s, right? In that version, they cut the scene where the little girl is waving at the plane. So it was left ambiguous as to what happened to that little girl. You didn't know. The TV version is much darker than the actual rated R version with the swearing and the blood and the explosions. The TV version cut that part from the airing, and because I remember being like, "What happened to that little girl?" And then I bought the DVD and I watched it. I'm like, "Wait a minute, I don't remember her. Wait, what?" Also, did she never take a bath? She's a dirty little girl. What? I know there's sand and dust and stuff all over the place, but come on, that girl needs a bath. Just go take a bath, little girl. Okay, just go. But yeah, so then I said that because after they embrace, it cuts to a casino. We got a new shooter. Does a new shooter feel lucky? And it's Garland Green. And he goes, yes. Yes, he does. And then we get a credits roll for all the actors and stuff that are in this. And to Sweet Home Alabama. Fantastic. I love the score in this film. It's absolutely fantastic. Who did the score? Does it say? Visual effects. Music by Mark Mancina and Trevor Rabin. Fantastic musical score, by the way. I like the action scenes. This is a Bruckheimer film, right? Yeah, he's produced by Jerry Bruckheimer. There's good explosions. The plane itself is also a character in the film, believe it or not. It's one of the most biggest characters in the film. This movie is fantastic from beginning to end. I enjoy it, and that's why Conair is going to the moon, baby. It's a perfect score for me. I love this movie. And it's the first part of the Nicolas Cage Holy Trinity, and we'll get to the other two. But for now, next, yeah, it's going to be where we go from this to this. But this is the next review for Rick Moranis, so look for that. But, yeah, till then, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one. Did it.